Santos Tour Down Under was a brutal encounter, and on the run to the line the peloton was torn apart.
Oh, there's a big crash.
There's a crash gone down in the middle, that's a back on Silly, and there's a mass pile up there and dust all over the place. Well, that split the peloton. As they charged to the finish, there was another heart-stopping moment as the sprinters went head-to-head. And Greipel is getting himself in. A little bit of a hump there by Pataki on Greipel. But Greipel comes clear and looks at Pataki and says, "What do you think you're doing?" He has taken the stage.
Pataki is just a big star. He shouldn't do this. Just keep the line.
Will there be fireworks again today? You're about to find out. Yeah, somebody's gone down in the middle. Goss is clear and Greipel is on his wheel. Cameron Meyer at 23 years of age. They've got him 1-2 on the line. Hello and welcome back to South Australia. It's day 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under, a 6-day race, and this second stage taking the rides 148 kilometres from Lobethal to Stirling, and we're staying in the confines of the Adelaide Hills today. The arrival of Robin McEwen to sign in. This will be his last race in Australia before retirement beckons after the Amgen Tour of California in May.
Many of the riders wondering what are they going to do to beat Andre Greipel, the big German rider who so far won this week in Adelaide, has been unbeaten.
Well, 2 riders who won't be taking the start line after the crashes yesterday. They've both got broken bones. Jürgen Roelands with a damaged vertebrae and Frédéric Guédon with a fractured hip, which is very, very sad indeed.
Well, on the stage yesterday, the stage dominated by a big 4-man breakaway, but crashes were very much the order of the day as Romain Felu, the sprinter from France, went down hard.
Yes, but he finished the day and did well enough. Stuart O'Grady here also ruining the day yesterday, but no damage to him and looking past perhaps for a win today. This was the crash that came at 800 metres to go, the most serious, which took out Roelands and Guédon, and in collision 2 with a spectator, although we're delighted to say the spectator was only minor injuries. And one of the heroes too, Rowan Dennis, in the breakaway yesterday. He's the best placed in the under-23 classification. The man who's in the ochre jersey is Lotto's Andre Greipel. This is how he did it. He came with a sudden burst on a run for the line and grabbed the big win bonus. You wouldn't have thought so when he came from so far back. Little flick there from Hutrovic and Pataki also clashing with him, but in the end it was Andre Greipel who got the victory.
Well, signing in now Mark Renshaw, now riding for the new team at Rabobank with Michael Matthews, and of course they'll be looking also after Luis Leon Sanchez.
And this was last year on stage 3 when Michael Matthews, then the under-23 world champion, riding in his first pro tour, he got the win and he's in the race today, as indeed is Matthew Goss. Alejandro Valverde back from suspension and back in the Santos Tour Down Under. So the riders making their way now to get ready for what they hope will be a very nice day out in the undulations. Will it be a sprinter? Well, we've got plenty of sprinters to ask with Paul Sherwin.
First of all, we reached our goal. We wanted to win the stage in this tour here, and everything else is on top. I mean, there are 3-4 guys I'm thinking about: Valverde, Benati, Hausler. They are better than I am on this kind of finish, and yeah, we will see how it will work out.
Well, Mark, everybody talks about all of the Australian sprinters. We're waiting to see when the Aussie sprinters are going to come to the fore. So far, 2-0, Andre Greipel.
Yeah, he's very strong this year. You know, he's shown that he's on form already. You know, he's one of the most powerful sprinters there is. So it'll be hard to beat him, but you know, today I think there'll be a good chance for an Australian rider.
Matty, so far everyone's been waiting for the green edge to get that big victory out of the way. The team is organised, but Lady Luck hasn't smiled.
Yeah, certainly. There's not just us out there that hasn't picked up a win yet, but me and Robbie were in not bad position yesterday. We were kind of just behind the quick step guys on the right-hand side, a kilometre to go that was moving up, and unfortunately there was that major crash, and that completely took us out. So we didn't get a real crack at it yesterday, and we've got another good chance today. So we'll give it a shot, and we're going to pick one up soon.
Well, today's the stage maybe for the sprinters, but it is a very difficult uphill finish, and they do climb the hill to the finishing line on 4 occasions as well. It's 148 kilometres today. It's about just on 90 miles of racing. As the riders make their way from Loberthal, they go into the Adelaide Hills. There are 2 time bonus sprints along the way. There's also one quite steep mountain of Fox Creek before they finally go onto the finishing circuits based on the finishing town of Stirling. And that is where this race surely will be decided. And the weather is absolutely glorious for bicycle racing. As the gun is fired, the riders underway. A lovely crowd here, I have to say, and everybody rather rejoicing that the heat has gone away, at least for the moment. In fact, one could say it looks almost like a little bit of rain, but I somehow doubt it.
I doubt it very much, but all of the riders very happy with the fact that the temperatures have come down to a nice 20 degrees Celsius, almost a little bit of a chill in the air.
And that's less than 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but it will get a little bit hot. A very, very short neutralised section, literally half a kilometre today before the riders will start. There's some of the fans. They've ridden out from Adelaide. And the number 11 down there wearing the ochre jersey, which is the colour of the race leader in the Santos Tour Down Under. That's Andre Greipel. I don't know whether he'll like the sprint finish today because it's uphill.
Well, everybody wondering what they can do to get past this man in the finishes, because he's proving to be somewhat unbeatable in the early part of this season, especially right down here, down under in Australia.
Now look at that. The peloton officially has started. Nobody started racing, but that looks like a BMC rider, and it's Martin Kohler who's gone clear. Now, if you're watching our programme yesterday, this rider was in the leading group for 130 kilometres yesterday before finally being caught, but he is in 3rd place overall after the time bonuses, so he's an important person.
Not surprising though, Phil, to see any move at the start of this race covered by a rider from Uni SA. They are a very aggressive team. They look for these early morning breakaways, and coming across right now to make a 2-man leading group is Will Clark.
Will Clark, who comes from the island off the south of this continent, Tasmania, and Will has joined the 2 of them. No reaction from the field. The field will figure that this is a tough day today. 2 riders on their own against 128 are rather unfair odds. Well, as the 2 riders head towards the Jayco Mount Torrens sprint, which comes at 24 kilometres, here they come now, and they are going to sleep, believe me. They are drifting out here. Now there's the blue banner, and you can see the Jayco sign up ahead. And I think you'll see the easing past here of the BMC rider. It's an American-sponsored team, and it is part of the team that Cadel Evans will ride in when he rides in the Tour de France this year. Easy peasy.
No problem at all. 3 seconds time bonus for him, and that will move him that little bit closer to Andre Greipel in the overall standings. He will now be officially in 2nd place overall, just 1 second off the lead. There's a slight split at the front end of the main field, and these guys are taking this 3rd place sprint rather seriously.
It just shows you the strength of this peloton once they really do put their heads down. The wind is quite troublesome. It's nothing like the gale force of yesterday as they head up, but there's 3 distinct bunches now as we race into Mount Torrens. The time gap at just on 6 minutes here.
This is another reason why the race organisers like to put these time sprints into a race like this, because it spices up the early part of an event. And a split like this, if you get 10 or 12 riders starting to go clear, that could really start to open up the gap.
Just look at that, Paul. That's gone from the back of the line. That is the man we refer to as Bling. The former under-23 World Road Race champion, Michael Matthews, has gone right from the back to the front. Nobody's challenging him. He's caught them off guard. It might be significant to remember he won this stage in this race last year.
Oh, he certainly did, and he was a very confident man at the start this morning when I had a little bit of a chat with him, and he was trying to remove the little bit of responsibility across to Graham Brown or Mark Renshaw. But watch out, when you're a champion like Bling Matthews, you want to try and get the win again. This is the part of the climb, Phil, where it really does start to get that little bit more grippy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Will Clark coming to the front to set the tempo, because he's a slightly superior climber compared to the time trial specialist style of Martin Kohler in the red and black jersey of BMC. Just looking at the peloton there, packed together all the way across the road. There's no anger, there's no chase in earnest for the moment. They will, I think, wait till they start to get to that finishing circuit around Stirling before they start to hot up the pace. Number 81 sitting very close to the front there. He's one of the riders from Rabobank, Luis Leon Sanchez. Watch out for him later in the week.
Now, after yesterday's climb of the Taylor's Run Hill, it was only a third category, so 3, 2 and 1 points were scored yesterday. Look at the time gap coming up now, 10 minutes 2 seconds. Marcelo Peverin not won the race yesterday, so he got the 3 points. This is much more significant today because the first man over the top gets 10 points and the second rider gets 6, which means that if Will Clark wins this, even if he goes back into the peloton shortly, he will be the next leader in the King of the Mountains. 10 points would wipe out the advantage of Peverin.
Well, you might just have noticed the Aussie flag there on the left-hand side of the road. You could see that that was a block headwind for the riders, making this climb just that little bit more difficult. And look at the crowd that have turned out halfway through this race to support these riders from all over the world.
And the Swiss rider playing the absolute gentleman. No challenge to Will Clark. He'll be in the Skoda green-spotted jersey tomorrow. Will Clark. Now, as we watch the peloton now fighting out what is the third place of the day here on the climb, and this looks like Machado, who rides for Radio Shack Nissan Trek. That's a mouthful, and a new team on the block. He's gone well clear. The Portuguese man getting the third place and 4 points there.
Well, this is going to be a huge team later on in the season, Phil, because after all, it's the amalgamation of two massive squads, Leopard Trek and Radio Shack, last year's teams.
This is the main concern of Martin Kohler. He hasn't been challenged by Will Clark. He's got the 3-second bonus, so all he has to do now is finish in the big pack today, and he'll be the next leader of this race.
Well, theoretically, my addition, Phil, puts him into the lead by 2 seconds ahead of Andre Greipel, virtually if we were to stop the race as we look at it now. But there's still, let's not forget, a long way to go, and still time bonuses available on the finish line.
Look at this, Paul, because I think the team car is coming up here, and this, in fact, is Kohler as Will Clark has swung left here, heading for the finishing circuit. It looks to me as though Kohler has decided he's got all the bonuses. He wants to keep some energy in those legs. He's heading back to the pack here. Good or bad decision, I don't know. But what it has done, it's left Will Clark on his own with a long way to go. But they're racing down now, Paul, for that vital 1 second time bonus on the line.
In about 5th or 6th position, you can see the ochre jersey there, Phil, of Andre Greipel. He's taking this time bonus very seriously indeed.
Well, he should, because he knows now he's actually out of that jersey on the road, and in fact Greipel is trying to make a run here. He's the jersey second in line, because that is Bling Matthews who's gone. A late rush coming at him there from the ochre leader, Greipel. Greipel, those big legs are kicking, but he hasn't got the speed of Michael Matthews. Matthews, for the second time this day, has taken the third place 1 second bonus.
Well, that's all psychological, Phil, for Team Rabobank. You know, they've got a lot of cards they can play in the Santos Tour Down Under this afternoon, and today they're thinking of playing this card, Michael Matthews, a little bit later on in the day.
The peloton now regrouping after that sprint. They've now got to work out what are they going to do with the man up front, Will Clark.
Well, as frisky as those horses appear to be at the side of the road, I have to say that the main field is not looking very frisky at all, and they're probably very content with the fact that they've got a rider from UniSA alone in the lead.
But I'll tell you, the adrenaline will start to course now as he comes past a magnificent crowd here in Stirling. I think it's the biggest crowd I've ever seen here, and it first came here back in 1999, the Santos Tour Down Under. Through the Powerade hydration station, grabbing what he can here. He's still got a healthy lead, but there are moves afoot now from the field. But look at the gap, Paul, as he goes out with 3 to go.
12 minutes and 15 seconds. You might just have noticed the red and black jersey of Martin Kohler. It's taken a long time to pull back the Swiss rider into the fold, and now this is a new move coming from Team Movistar. Number 96, Javier Moreno. He, I would say, is trying to toughen this circuit up for his man Alejandro Valverde for the end.
Well, somebody's got to toughen it up, because 60 kilometres from the end and a lead of 12 1/4 minutes, that will take an awful lot of racing. For my money, The field may have misjudged this move today, and it's been race long, remember, because there's the clock counting through 11.5 minutes. This comes Moreno, and the field snapping at his heels.
That is a very big advantage for the lone leader, Will Clark. And now, you know, there's only, as far as I'm concerned, Phil, a couple of points on this circuit around here where he can lose his time.
Well, I don't know if you heard that, but that is Dave Saundershead, who was voted the Victorian coach of last year in all sports, and he's found himself a good one here in Will Clark. What he said was, this is game on. We can win this, and we can win the race overall as well. I don't think you're going to catch you, he said. He's right.
Well, I think he's got a very good chance there, because as I was starting to say, the only place that he can really lose serious chunks of time is on the climb up to Stirling. It's around about a 4-kilometre climb. The rest of the course is a fairly rolling course, and Will Clark does not look like a man weakening to me.
Well, here he comes again round the end of the first full circuit. He knows where he's going now. In effect, the second time up this hill of 4 approaches to the line. He's puffing and blowing, and well, he might be, but if we can catch a glimpse of that clock, I think we're going to see a very healthy standing overall at the moment. Back through the hydration station, the peloton, they should be getting very anxious now, because they know now that they have a serious chase on their hands.
Well, there's a lot of big teams in the Tour this year who'll be trying to pull this race back into the fold. You can see now Team Sky and the black and blue jerseys coming to the front. They're thinking about their man, CJ Sutton. The black and green jerseys of Green Edge, they're thinking about their men, guys like Simon Gerrans, who would be dreaming of a victory.
And there in the lead car, driven by the race director Mike Turner, Christian Prudhomme, who arrived today. He's the director of the Tour de France. He has got to be impressed with the organisation of the Santos Tour Down Under. So this rider now has it all to race for as he comes under the banner. 7 minutes and 8 seconds, 7:10. That's the gap. They've got 20 kilometres to put it all to the rights. It is one man versus the rest now, and time is running out for the peloton, but I can tell you the peloton is thundering and his lead is falling rapidly. But it's not a normal finish, this. It is a really tough ride up to the summit, and this peloton is driving now. This is Frank really giving it all. At 1 kilometre to go, he is going to get the biggest win of his life, and it's a World Tour victory.
How lonely that road looks in front of him, but fortunately for him, Phil, if he turns round towards the back of the race, he can see nobody either. He's still got that advantage. He's not going to take the overall lead at the end of today, but he's certainly going to take the biggest victory of his career. He's just got to hold on that little bit longer.
20 kilometres ago, that's about 12 miles, he had a lead of 7.25 minutes. The peloton, I would suggest, are about 1.5 minutes behind him and still closing in. These last couple of metres to the line are going to be very, very painful, but the crowd will bring him home. Well done.
They will push him home. My quick calculation is that he needs 1 minute and 36 seconds on the line if he wants to be the new overall leader here this afternoon. Now you can see Quick Step moving to the front in their new light blue jerseys, not too far away. The lime green helmets, those are Team Movistar. Everybody now is queuing up to try and get themselves a victory. Rabobank in the orange jerseys, they're over on the right hand side as well.
Well, it won't be Mark Renshaw for Rabobank, because he has been dropped in quite a large group of select names. They're riding some minutes behind the field, but right now this rider is going to strain his neck, because around that kink in the road he will see the banner, and this is going to be a great victory, not just for Will Clark or for Tasmania, who seem to be turning out big bike riders these times round, but also for the Uni SA squad. As he comes up now, the pain is over. For a long, long way, it looked to be an ochre jersey was waiting. We won't know the answer for minutes yet, but for me, that field is thundering up this climb now.
His legs are absolutely burning at a moment like this, but if you just listen to the crowd out there, Phil, they are lifting him home.
He has been in the lead for 146 of the 148 kilometres. His legs are saying enough is enough. That finish line won't come, but he's there now and he's got the victory, and an emotional crowd has cheered him on in. That is an exceptional performance by the 26-year-old.
Well, there's nothing left in that gas tank now, but that doesn't matter, because he has got what he set out for at the very start of this morning, and that was to get himself the stage victory at the Santos Tour Down Under around a very difficult finishing circuit here in Stirling. And the crowd, they realise they've witnessed something extremely special.
And that's the view that Will Clark got from this enormous crowd in Stirling, bringing him on home here. Now the legs can claim a little bit of peace and quiet as he's pushed away to get the awards he deserves. But is it an ochre jersey? We will have to wait here as Team Sky try to get on board here to lead out Bosenhagen up towards the finishing line. But they're all going to have a go for this one. Alejandro Valverde's in the mix. This is a difficult sprint to judge. On the right is Michael Matthews trying to go. Yes, he is. He won here last year. Bosenhagen in the middle. But Matthews is second this year. He won last year, and I think he just got the better there of Simon Gaines. The time gap just over a minute, so the ochre jersey will pass to Martin Kohler.
Just have a look at this. Michael Matthews on the inside there, looking for the gaps to see whether or not he can come up towards the finishing line. He's only sprinting for second place on this occasion, but again, he's going to get himself a 6-second time bonus, and that will pull him even further up in the overall standings tonight.
And that should make Michael Matthews the best under-23 rider in the overall classification. But the ride of the day, well, that was done by this man, Will Clark. What a wonderful show of defiance it really was. We wouldn't have given him a chance, but he was fantastic. And here he is now talking with Paul Sherwin.
Normally a breakaway like that on a day like this doesn't survive around Stirling, but you did something extremely special.
Yeah, well, it's a bit unbelievable really. Like, I was in the breakaway from the gun and just sort of kept going. The BMC rider was out there to get some sprint points, and yeah, just unbelievable. I just kept going, and I was dying in the last 15 Ks.
Well, amazing, I'll tell you, that was special. So the winner of the Coleman's Group Stage 2, Will Clark, who was presented the prize also by Mr. Will Clark, gets the victory. Michael Matthews in second place. Here he is getting the salutations of the crowd here. A truly memorable victory, without doubt, far and away the finest ever win by this young man. Just have a quick spin round the course here, Paul. On the flat sprints, it was always Martin Kohler. He will take ochre. But for the rest of the day, it was the man in white.
It certainly was a very brave move by Martin Kohler to try and go out and get himself all of those time bonuses on the day very early on after just 60 kilometres, then leaving poor old Will Clark for a long, lone ride to the finish.
This was a planned move by Kohler. He wasn't exhausted at all. It was a wise move, as it turned out in the end. But it left this man to ride home in solitary splendour with one lap to go. He was 7 minutes and 10 seconds ahead of the field. When he came up to the line, they charged round that last 21 kilometres so fast, he won by just over 1 minute. In the Santos Ochre Leaders jersey now, it's Kohler who gets the lead for tomorrow by 2 seconds over the deposed leader Greipel. Michael Matthews up to third there as well. All smiles for the Swiss time trial champion as he pulls on his first ochre jersey. And he's no stranger either here in the Tour Down Under. In the Jayco Sprint Leaders jersey, which is blue, Will Clark has earned the lead in that. Kohler's got the ochre, so Michael Matthews will probably pull that jersey on tomorrow as leader. But Will Clark is top of the Jayco Sprint competition. And going further along in the competition here, we move on to the Skoda King of the Mountains, fought out today on Fox Creek, where Will Clark won 10 points, enough to give him the outright lead for the moment over Kohler. Thiago Machado, who's third of Fox Creek, he's now up into third overall in this competition. So Will Clark was in front of the crowd on a number of occasions today, and he got a huge cheer every time he was presented. And the fine sprinting today by Michael Matthews moves him up to third overall. He also wins the Cycle Instead Best Young Rider jersey for the moment as well. Oh, and by the way, they voted Will Clark the High Marsh Most Aggressive Rider too. What a day for him. Tomorrow we're off to the coast to Victor Harbour, and we'll see you there. Goodbye for now.